My name's Luke Wilson. I work at the Department of Health in Tasmania. I'm based in the Southern District, so essentially the entire southern half of the state, centralised around Hobart. I work in the fleet team. I'm one of a sort of on-hand team of 5, but the overall fleet team is sort of separated around the state, so to speak, plus our middle management and stuff like that. So the Department of Health fleet is probably the largest in the state. It's definitely in contention. Overall, there's around just shy of 1,000 vehicles under the umbrella. Thankfully, we're sort of split up into different areas and regions and things like that. So we've got roughly 120 pool vehicles in our area. Double that again for things that are exempt or sort of not directly under our purview. We sort of see them when they come in, see them when they go out, and that's the end of it. And then a third group of vehicles for executives and high-ranking doctors and things like that. Almost exclusively light vehicles. There's only a handful of sort of light trucks and things like that. And we run essentially stuff on lease. So we don't own a lot of these assets directly. They're sort of leased through Treasury, which gives us a bit of flexibility, but also it's a unique challenge at times. The notice of the fleet certificate come in one of the emails in my inbox, and by that nature, my state supervisor also got it at the same time, and we both sort of met in the middle and went, hey, I'd be interested in that. As the same time, she was saying, oh, I'd be interested for you to do this. So it was obviously, stars aligned and applied, and yeah. So, I mean, I'm nearly in my 40s now, and I've had a variety of different careers, and in each one, I've had a drive to basically get myself educated in whatever I'm doing. I think as having pride in your work means you need to be knowing what you're doing. And so any kind of training I can grab, I'm going to grab. But this one seems particularly relevant, and it was very on point for what I needed, especially as an overall challenge that we're facing. We've got a lot of legacy things from where the fleet was very broken down, and each department sort of had their own way of doing things, and there was no universal way of having the fleet be run. So trying to adapt and change people's thoughts on how the fleet should be run, it has been a bit of a challenge, but thankfully under some strong leadership and things, we're getting there now, and we're now getting the technology and sort of the backing when they're seeing results from our fleet being more efficient and being more like available and things like this. I think the course absolutely has assisted with that. It's not like it was some sort of hidden knowledge, but just framing it in the way that the course manages to frame that information means presenting it to somebody is a lot more effective. It's a lot easier. So we can turn to these business units who are perhaps like, oh, but we've always done it this way. And we can go, yes, but the numbers say it will be better if we, start looking at this from a different angle or offer the different vehicle, that kind of thing. So the course has absolutely helped, even in a slightly indirect way. Oddly enough, I think for each unit that I went through, I was sort of like, oh, this one's been the most relevant and useful so far. And it sort of didn't really stop doing that. Looking back as an overall thing, I think probably the service level agreements is the most relevant for my role. Again, it was not necessarily new information, but just framing that in a way that I hadn't looked at before has really helped sort of define and sharpen what I need to be looking at and doing on a day-to-day basis. This was quite honestly one of the highest level of polish courses that I've done. It was clear, laid out here very well, and although I didn't use it personally, the support network, it's clearly there. Like, they make it very obvious and encourage you to use the support if needed. The access to the course materials and everything was really easy, all being online. I was fortunate in that I could make each of the tutorials live. I didn't need to go back and rewatch those tutorials at a later time, but the facility to do that says a lot about the quality of the course, I think. So if you're brand new to the industry, I'm not that experienced in the role, very, very helpful. Highly recommend, great investment. I could still easily imagine someone who's been around for 10 years might not be across everything that they cover in the course, because they cover a fairly wide range of situations and scenarios. So you'll be able to sort of get something out of it, especially for such a relatively short time investment. I think the return's pretty high.